guys, welcome to another episode of Passing Time with Craig. As always, I'm your host, Craig McFarlane, and today is a very special episode. I have the very talented comedian, model, MC, public speaker, and activist, Adora Nwofor. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Craig. I'm going to start by correcting my name.
Yes, please do. I was trying to get the pronunciation right, but it's not.
It's a whole thing. I do it on stage sometimes to teach my my guests, my audience,
Yes.
because we can say Tchaikovsky. We've been saying it. We've been hearing that a long time. It's Nwofor.
Nwofor.
So the N and
Okay.
the W is one letter. And
Yep.
if you just do this little nod, you'll get the Nwofor.
Nwofor.
Almost. But you're going to say the colonizer's way, no for.
Okay.
So you don't cut yourself. I don't have insurance for that. So.
Well, see, but this is important, and I've seen so many people starting to do that. There's been like guests on like the Ellen DeGeneres show, and sure enough, like they're correcting her, and that's what's important because this is your name. This is who you are.
Right. Thank you
and
so
we
much.
seem to be no worries.
There's so many different types of names, right?
Yeah.
Like people who have accents, they say things differently. It's not because they want to be rude, but at a certain point in time, if you stop trying, now you have decided you're going to be rude. So I like to give people the opportunity.
Totally. Well, like in a weird way, my name is Craig, but in like the UK and Australia and New Zealand, that's not how they say it. So they're always trying to correct me, and I'm like, well, but this is how I say it.
Right. That's exactly that.
So I thank you so much for being here today. So you're one of the hosts of tomorrow's Black Lives Matter vigil, 4 to 5:30 at Olympic Plaza. We're in 2020, the year of a global pandemic and murder hornets. Yet what is still tearing this world apart is hatred and racism.
Right.
Why? How?
Right. I mean, the easy answer is capitalism. That's the easy answer. That's really the only reason it's going on, because it's really easy to tell between you and me. Now, if we're on the phone, it becomes a little more difficult. If I want, I can lower my voice, sound a little more masculine, have a totally different treatment. I know that racism is real because when I speak on the phone, and then when I show up as Adora, a giant black lady, it's two totally different things. They're like, no, this is not Adora. And I'm like, it is. It is. So I'm born in Calgary. I know that how it shows up, and it's disgusting because there's no way to actually fight that, quote unquote, the right way, and we're seeing it right now.
Yeah, we see, the post about, protesting, and it's like protesting peacefully. It's like, well, we've tried stuff, like we're doing things, but there's just capitalism. There's this fear that, I mean, the big thing, of course, is we're talking Black Lives Matters, but then there's the people going, of course, but all lives matter. And it's like, but that's not what we're after here.
Right, because we know that every human is intrinsically valuable. The world already knows that. If every human was not intrinsically valuable, we would not be trying to consume them, which means getting them to work, slave labor out of jail. Like, people usually write people off that are in jail. That's not what I believe in any way. But this is what we see that's normal in society. And if they weren't valuable, how come we are looking for their labor? So if you can do labor, if you're alive, you're valuable. If you can do labor, we now assign a value, a quantifiable label to you and then try and milk you for that for the rest of your life at the lowest price point. So it's insidious, and at some point in time, it needs to stop because we are more than whatever we can produce. We're not alive. I don't live to produce ever.
Yeah.
So you don't need to consume me ever.
Yeah.
People who are just exchanging oxygen into carbon dioxide, the joke is that that's all they do. That's all they need to do. It's not even a joke. So that's
Um, well, so my question is, so Black Lives Matter was founded in 2013. That was 7 years ago. And not much has really changed as it should have changed. So how do we make this more than just this week? Because it's been fantastic. Calgary is one of many cities around the world that have held protests, and people of all walks of life are coming together in solidarity, and it's fantastic. People are sharing stuff on social media, which is a whole different thing. But how do we make it so this isn't just we go on to the next subject on Monday?
you people have to put in the work. People like you have to put in the work. The media has to put in the work. Our organizations have to put in the work. Politicians, lawyers, doctors, teachers, everybody needs to be mobilized to be doing this work. And when I say mobilized, doing this work, I want to empower people to take what they know and make it grow. So if let's start with something small. Black is a noun when you're describing a human like myself. So it's a capital B.
Right.
So many people don't know that. I just keep saying it over and over and over again. And I have been, but people haven't been hearing me. So now I need you, Craig, every time you see that, I need you to go out and change that. Every time you hear somebody say the N word, I need you to put yourself in between the person saying it and the person who is being abused by that. And sometimes that means with a phone, so you're videotaping it. Sometimes it means with your words. Sometimes it means getting somebody else in. Sometimes it means making noise. It doesn't look one specific way. But it does need to come with humility, and it does need to be led by the voices that are being oppressed. So Black voices need to lead. So, for instance, teachers in Calgary, they are still using the N word when they are talking about the book with John Ware. Yes, they're using that
What?
word freely. Um, the kids are still using that at school. Teachers are still making bodies that are the color of mine, that are little children, into criminals. So the change needs to come from, if you're uncomfortable, you have to sit in it, because that's all I sit in is discomfort. So this week is really difficult. It might still be difficult next week, but you still got to keep asking the questions. You still need to be engaging with your friends that are Black, your friends who are marginalized and oppressed. And I mean, we don't all do the same stuff. We're not a monolith. We are messy. We are excellent. And everything in between is not a binary. Sometimes we're messy and excellent at the same time. I feel like that's my new hashtag. Messy excellence.
Messy excellent.
Yeah, because being Black doesn't mean that you have to prove your life. And that's what we're doing. So there's no need to say that, oh, if you're a doctor and you're Black, you're worthwhile. If you're breathing and you're Black, so even the dead bodies, like, treat us with respect. Go into this with humility. I was saying on Wednesday, when you go to university and you're being taught by an expert, you have humility. You listen. Black people, we are experts on racism. So it needs to be that you're putting your dollars into our communities, our businesses, our organizations. Go to the Black event that you don't think is organized well. Because I'm telling you, lots of white events aren't organized well and there's people there.
Yeah,
There's lots
yeah,
of Asian events not organized well and people are there. That's what we need to, we're building a community. And the community has space for everybody who is going to move in love and respect. And know that their intent is not more important than their impact. We have that problem. We have a lot of white fragility that I really wanted to be nice. And so I did this. No, I don't need that. Don't send me a private jet when I'm drowning. And then say I sent you a private jet. I'm dead now. A private
yeah.
jet can't save me if I'm drowning. Those kinds of things. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, and one thing I've I've done my research on you, and I saw this video, and one of the things that I love about you is that I feel like you felt that you're going out there and being a public speaker, and a model and comedian because you didn't see people like you on TV or anything like that, and you're a tall woman as well, and so you're there for a lot of people, and I absolutely love that.
I like to be honest, I remember I'm here because I wanted to be a ballerina, if I'm gonna be honest. It's the only
Yeah.
thing I ever really begged my parents for, like begged. Like I was relentless. Like this whole racism stuff, imagine that for ballet at my parents' house. Yeah, it was pretty intense. And they finally put me in ballet. My
Yeah.
parents are immigrants. They wanted a doctor, so you can imagine, or a lawyer. I'm supposed to be the lawyer in the family. Sorry. But I wanted to be a ballerina, and when I finally got to dance class, I was at least all right. I was all right enough for the teacher to tell me, "You don't need to work that hard. You're already too big to be a ballerina. It's never gonna happen." And she said that because of racism, because I was kicking those little white girls' asses and I had never taken a ballet class. And it broke my heart at 8. And I had to take that deep breath because every time I tell the story, I start to cry because I go back to being 8 and not understanding why someone's telling me this, like, don't work hard. And my parents were telling me to work hard. And they like, my parents didn't understand what I kept telling them these things. So that's why I'm here. I wanted to be Misty Copeland, and I'm not. um, but then I also noticed that I never got to see the different versions of Black on TV. Like we had the Cosbys, when I can't even name the amount of family shows that are out there for that center whiteness. Um,
Mhm.
that's for so many marginalized groups. I refuse to call myself a minority. I'm not less. That's part of the word of minority. They're not less of us. So we are important. Don't say the majority versus the minority like we aren't important. Like the impact doesn't make a difference. It does. So that's really why I'm here. The challenges that I faced as a child, my children have now faced. Are my grandchildren gonna face? I don't need grandchildren. That's nonsense. But the generations after me, is that
Yeah.
what they're gonna face? It's ridiculous. It means nothing. I went through the same education system. The people that I know who have thrived the most didn't stay in Calgary. That's horrific. Why? That doesn't make any sense. How come I don't know lots of Black city councilors or politicians or CEOs, or because we're here When I see generational families working at Cargill, grandparents, parents, children, and like now it's the grandchildren, and nobody's in management, nobody's leading, that wealth of knowledge in that family is huge. You can't go to school and get that. There are experiences that are, listen, work at Cargill. I think that that's amazing. I also think that it's amazing if you are treated with respect and worth when you're working at Cargill. That's really my point. You know, make sure that people are healthy, not make sure you make your money.
You know,
So,
and going back to things we mentioned earlier, and the world seems to be running on money, and there are people thinking about what's best. Like everybody keeps referring to the cities opening up after the global pandemic and referring to like Jurassic Park. And I use Jurassic Park as a great example because it is about rich people thinking that this is going to be fun. Oh, we lost some people. Let's try this again.
let's try this again. Oh, I didn't know them. It's funny to me because when rich people lose their own people, they are this mad. They
Yeah,
are this mad. They do this kind of stuff. They go get armies, blow up people, and it's not a riot, it's a war. So we're in war right now. Also, like, let's remember Jurassic Park, they didn't have any idea the first time. Hmm? So they
yeah,
lost some people, then they did it again, and they had an idea. They keep, my point, they keep doing the same stuff. They keep doing the
yeah.
same stuff. And you keep telling them, we're not going to have this. It's, you know, when you are born in racism, racism started affecting me before I was born. You know, the way that they treated my mother in the hospital, doctors, even if they didn't overtly say it to her, the system treated her differently than they treated her white counterparts. So imagine the effect on me. I told people like I'm an old lady and I like vanity. I like to be cute. Imagine how cute I would be if I didn't have to deal with racism all the time. Imagine how much more I could do in the world. I might be shush and on a yacht if you just gave up the racism. That, I mean, I feel like a whole lot of people would be happy with that. Environmentally sound yacht. I know they don't exist. That's why I'm saying
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Let's one issue at a time.
Right. Right.
Well, and so I want to mention you. Yeah, you were born here, and you told stories about people saying "Welcome to my country" when you're an adult. You know, you're leaving Walmart.
Oh,
Like
you really researched me, Craig. Thank you.
I
It's
did.
true. It's
I
true.
I was loving everything I was finding. You're so well spoken, and yeah. So your entire life, from the moment you were born, and you're here in Calgary, and people are saying it's not as bad as the States.
I'm laughing because it's bullshit. Um,
Right?
I mean, the easy answer for that is that the states. I mean, I feel like is anything really how the same as the states? It's not.
No.
Um, the black population in the United States, just black people, 48 million people. That's 10 million more than the all people in Canada. So you're not
Yeah.
gonna see it's a numbers game. So like if you have 1,000 people and 100 people die, yes, 100 people die, but if you have 100 people and one person died, it's the same. Just say on top of it, we just got the long form census back to get some of that information that we've been missing out on. And the reason we stopped with the long form census is because it was being used against us systematically. So now we need to have people who understand in positions of power to be able to say, no, that's not how we're going to use this information. We need people outside of power saying, no, this is not what I want to see being done with this information. You know, indigenous folks have land rights. Like this is their land. So they're busy get, getting their information, taking care of themselves. Black people don't have that power here. So we don't know. You know, they've done studies on carding just like the states. It just means you're doing it to 100 people instead of 1,000. So
Right.
that's the easy way to say it when they say it's not happening here. They call me the N word up and down. Like, uh, I couldn't get a job because you need insurance to say my last name. um, but my resume was sound. I'm a hard worker. And I shouldn't have to work harder than everybody else for you to see that I'm valuable and try and give me an opportunity. At every turn, opportunity was stopped for me for no other reason than my employers didn't want to have to deal with how people dealt with me in the position of authority or just to do my job. Like just simple do my job. People will come and be like, you're too proud. How come you sound like that? This is I speak English. What you mean? Isn't that what you're screaming for?
Yeah.
This not everybody you you are not owed the right to understand everyone. That's like privilege. No. So yeah, I've been dealing with this a long time. I've been telling people a long time. A lot of people don't get it. If you're an immigrant, you have a different relationship with racism. I'm born in a place that doesn't want me, and they show me every day. It's different if I'm born in a place that wants me and there's turmoil, and I say I want to have a different life. It is not a privilege to be a refugee or an immigrant. Let me take that back. Like an expat, that's you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's how whiteness does it because they don't respect immigrants. Because immigrants, and it's hard. That's a hard thing to do. To leave your friends, your family, and everything that's familiar, and start a whole new life with rules that you don't understand. And that's how people learn about racism. Nobody teaches. There's no book. There's no pamphlet for us. I don't know. The KKK might have a pamphlet. I know they have meetings. So um, nobody taught me that as an education, but people taught me that as an experience. So um, yeah, now the people who are busy perpetuating racism, they're going to have to learn anti-racism, and sometimes that means your hand is slapped back in the same manner that you taught racism. So, I mean, it's
I
it,
mean, I want to point that out because I think that's um a huge sentence that I've gotten in the past week, and I think is great. Is don't just be not racist, but be anti-racist. Like, and I think that's where we need to make that change because a lot of people do say they're not racist, but they're not doing anything, and they're like, you got the bros hanging together, and one drops the N word, and you're like, but you need to start.
yeah, you got to get in front of that. You got to tell them. A lot of people don't particularly like me. They think that I am abrasive and aggressive and not a really fun person because I say it every time. But I don't want to have to say it every time, but I want Black people to be treated with respect. I want them to enjoy their full lives. I want them to thrive. So, yes, I will say it every time. I'll even say it. Anti Blackness can come from anybody. That's
Mhm.
also what's insipid because most people don't want to be treated with disrespect. They don't want to be treated poorly. So, they're going to try and adhere to quote unquote rules. So anti-blackness shows up in so many places. And if you're concerned with not being racist, that's centering your feelings. That doesn't help me, because silence is violence. Silence is complicit. If you see somebody rioting, like all these white folks talking about our protests, that's why they're saying it, because they don't want to be silent. They think that what we're doing is dangerous, and it's dangerous for us.
Yeah.
Like people who are saying we need to be respected, we need to be treated with dignity. That's dangerous for us. We don't want to riot. That's not what we want to do. So if you are worried about your feelings and your reputation, be anti-racist. Because that's all there is to it. Or else you're a racist. Like those are the only two places to be. And being anti-racist means you're going to be uncomfortable. It means you're going to tell people things they don't like. You're going to mess up Thanksgiving dinner because it should be messed up anyways.
Who has a normal Thanksgiving dinner?
Right? Even if there's no racism in your family, you got something because you're a human. So
Yeah.
let's do some racism stuff. Um, like hire that person that you aren't quite sure. Um, if you want to be anti-racist, you're constantly growing. Just like racism systematically is constantly changing. Um, there's a saying is that, oh, they move the goal line, because that's what racism does. It keeps flourishing. It used to be, I mean, it started with the transatlantic slave. Um, and then it's Jim Crow. And we like, even when if we want to bring indigenous folks into it, there's residential schools.
Yeah.
So we move from residential schools to like now every time we see an indigenous person, we act like, oh, we're so afraid. Oh, you get tax money. Oh, like I don't know what to say around you people. What you mean? Speak to
Yeah.
us. We're humans. What do you mean you don't know? If you're afraid that your feelings are going to be hurt, then you have a lot of work to do. If you're afraid that you can't speak to a human, you have a lot of work to do. What have you learned? What have you mm, embraced in your life that means that you should have so much anxiety you can't have a conversation with another human being who is just existing?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of anti-racism work that needs to be done. White people, listen to the people who are marginalized, and don't hold that against another marginalized person. Shush. Because we are all learning, like this is a
Yeah.
process. If there's a black person who isn't capitalizing black, that's not your place to start. Go and tell another black person so that they can have that conversation. That's not your place. Also, you don't need to go running around telling black people on other black people. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let me be explicit because sometimes we need that. If you're in a friend group and there's a black person that you feel could be harmful to other black people, you go and tell black people. You don't push them. It is not your place. That's not your lane. We're not here to police other black people. I don't need to gatekeep. That shouldn't be a thing. But we can have conversations with ourselves. We can find out what we do well and apply that amongst ourselves. So that's that's how I see it. When I see white people doubling down on another black person about what they're doing, I'm like, this is the same thing. You're not helping. So yeah, it's gonna be messy. Period. It's gonna be messy. So people gotta get ready to put their feelings aside. It's time to grow again. We all know that an apology is nice. Apply a change. If that doesn't come with the apology, it's just manipulation. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna make mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. Everybody's gonna make mistakes. You're a mistake. You're a mistake. You're a mistake. And I don't mean because you came early. so, so, like it's a process that we're gonna need time to heal after it. You know, healing is radical. It's an act of rebellion because we have been living in trauma. We've been functioning in pain, being triggered at every moment, and not having time to really process that and make sure that we're healthy on the other side of it. So it's it's gonna be rough for a little while. So I want Black people who are watching this, hydrate, get some sleep, find somebody to love on you, the healthy way, please. So sometimes that means you do this because we're in the time of COVID. Sometimes it means hugging the people that are really close to you. It does not mean getting like 150 people under your belt. If that's healthy for you, also please do so.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. If it's consensual, then it's all good.
Right, right, because consent is sexy and necessary.
Yes. Yes. No, and you're just making so many great points. And I wanted to point out something as well. I saw the stat. I don't know how accurate it is, but I feel like it's pretty true. 3.4% of the Canadian population are Black people, and yet they account for 9% of police fatalities. That's in Canada.
That is in
So while we're talking about everything, again, you were mentioning numbers. It's a number game. You look at it like that's a lot. 3.4% of a population, and then 9%.
right. So what's happening there? Why are we going to jail? There's a lot of reasons. They are all rooted in racism. You know, it's not because white people commit less crimes. We all commit crimes at the same rate. If we are on the same level playing field, we are not. That's why we need equity. The reasons that marginalized people commit crimes are different than for someone who has privilege. So some of us are committing crimes because we haven't eaten in a week. Your brain doesn't function well if you haven't hydrated, if you haven't rested, if nobody is loving you. So, you know, it's not a disclaimer. It is a how do we fix that situation? How do we get people their basic needs so that they can function well? That's our role as a society. It's not, oh, it's not my problem. That person didn't work hard. No, you're not in society to produce. We are here to create. Sometimes you create bridges, which means that you help another person. So um, I like to talk about cannabis because Black and brown bodies are number one in jail for cannabis, and now it is the biggest business.
Yeah.
How? What? No, you're using all of the labor that Black and brown bodies have done in the past because it is industry, not has been industry. It, the industry continues. We've been there. A whole bunch of people said bad stuff and made it look like cannabis was bad. I'm going to say all the other words because some people don't understand cannabis. Weed, marijuana, green, like all that stuff. So, but
Yeah.
cannabis is medicine. And we were giving out medicine. And when I say we, please, police, do not come get me and say that I match the description of a drug dealer. But we were doing all of this work. We were putting in the foundation for what is here now that privileged white bodies are benefiting from at such a high level, and we're still in jail for like $20. No,
Mhm.
no, expunge all of those crimes. Expunge them, get rid of them. Don't
Mhm.
pardon them so we can go back and say, oh, we moved the goal line.
Yeah.
No, expunge them, get rid of them, let people have a new life. And then what you do is you create a way for those people to actually have all of their knowledge and skills put back into that economy so they can benefit on their terms in a way that is healthy for everybody, not just people who have $1 million to open up a distillery or a farm or to create product and get licensing. That is systematic racism. It continues. And every time we try and have the conversation, they're like, no, 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 we did something about it. No, you didn't. Because there are still Black people in jail, suffering, being punished for something that is no longer illegal and should not have been in the first place. So, sorry, I hope I answered the question. I feel like I went on a
Oh,
tangent.
you did. No, no, you did, and I love it. And I want to point out a word that we've used over and over again, and so important is opportunity, and that's what we need is opportunities. This is what Black people need is opportunities, and as white people, we need to give them the opportunities.
No, we don't give it to us because we are valuable. Like
Yeah.
allow the open up opportunity. That's what we want. When we say when when people with privilege, I like to say hueless, when the hueless hear give, automatic no, they didn't earn it. We've earned it because we're
Yeah.
alive. Allow the opportunities to be open. Don't do nepotism. Like, stop putting up that ad for a job and then hiring your friends that we knew that you were going to do that. If you want to do that, make sure it's the Black person. Make sure it's an Indigenous person. Make sure it's an Asian person, an Indian person, because Indigenous and Indian is not the same stuff. A disabled person, a blind person, a deaf person, a non-neurotypical person, a person who has mental illness and is going to need extra support. Hire ASL translators. They need jobs because deaf people want to work. Sorry. Like all those people and more. There's so
Yeah.
many more that I'm not discussing. Hire that trans person that you don't think looks like a woman enough. Shut up. There are women that look like that because trans women are women. Hire them. Give them the tools that they need. If I see one more white guy who passes GED getting, like that almost executive position because his friends rallied around him, gave him the skills that he needs, helped him get that. Why can't we do that? Because we don't have enough people that have a level of power to mentor that we can surround and do that ourselves. We're doing it one at a time, whereas white people are doing it 100 at a time. Nothing wrong with that. But hey, recognize that it's not because they are your skin folk. It's not because they're white that they should have that. I need that.
Mm-hmm.
I need that from lots of kinds of people. So, like, those are some of the things that are necessary when we're opening up opportunity. It means don't shoot people in the foot. If I am the management, if I'm the supervisor, if Karen wants to talk to the
Oh,
manager and I'm the manager, I'm going to guarantee you Karen's upset. I know that because Karen has been upset many, many, many times to the point that she says she's going to call the police on me at my job.
mhm.
And I was like, all right, well, I got to go. It's lockup time and we're not allowed to have you in the building. So see you later. Then to call the next morning and try and get me fired from my job because I wouldn't let them do what breaks the rules at my job.
Mhm.
So it can get really exhausting we don't want to be given anything more valuable. We are happy to come and do work. Um, if Karen is talking about me and my boss listens to Karen every time, I'm not being supported. That means I'm not going to have a job. And I can guarantee you, I ended up not having a job.
And it's you did, as someone who's worked in like retail and hospitality, I know that you did everything you were supposed to do, everything they told you.
Or you don't have a job. Like, which one is it? This is
Yeah.
between a rock and a hard place. If I break the rules for Karen or Chad, then I'm in trouble because I've now put myself, use my power, my privilege to help them. If I say, no, Karen Chad, no, you can't go into this area, it's off limits, it's a legal insurance, we want you to be safe issue. No, they're mad, and they call my boss, and I've used my power to protect the business I'm working with, and they have now not protected me. So there is, so I don't want to say it's never a win-win situation, but with racism, it's never a win-win situation.
It I just I don't know. I'm a very sympathetic person, and I just don't understand. But I'm trying to understand because it upsets me so much because it doesn't make any sense. But before I start losing it,
Take a breath,
let's talk to. So tomorrow, at Olympic Plaza, Black Lives Matter vigil, and what does this mean to be a part of this for you?
I needed to take a breath, Craig. I'm probably going to cry. I'm really emotional in general. I'm a big baby. So all of this
Same here.
fighting,
Same here.
I don't want to fight. I really don't. I'm really a lover, not a fighter. But if I have to fight to get love, I will do that because I'm human. It means the whole world to me. I have been saying these things and shunned and pushed to the side and ignored and said that I'm crazy for a very long time. So to even see the protests that have been happening. So I want to say to those organizers, like, thank you. And I'm so proud that we were able to do any of this, all of the work, whether it's messy or not. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, I would have never seen this when I was a kid. I want to know what that's going to do for my kids. But somebody just said, you should talk to Adora. She does this stuff. And then I did. And like it gives me some hope, but it can't like Calgary, if you don't do something, you've broken my heart. This is my hometown. I deserve to be proud of it. They made me. I think I'm great. So I want people in Calgary to show up. I want them to show up in humility. I want them to show up to say that like they love me. On Wednesday, they were chanting that they love me, and I shut it down. I was like, this is not about me. But then I thought, you know what? Like, I don't have to reject love. It's
Yeah.
because I'm not used to it. Like, that was a traumatic response. And I don't want to live like that anymore. So if they love me, they love other Black people. And if they love other Black people, we can make this through it. And don't love me like you're consuming me. You don't own me. Love me like you respect me. You want me to grow. You want my community to grow. You want to share with us. You don't want to take from us. You want to see us doing all the things that we have missed out on and more because we make up stuff. We're magic. And when we share our magic, the world is a better place always. That's why you keep taking our things. So it means everything. It means the donations. Like, people are just coming to me. Like, I have curated a community. So when I say community, I don't like, not everybody's my friend. Not everybody do I know. But there's people who are watching and listening and hearing me, and thank you. This is not a cookie. Um, who are like bringing me water and PPE and sending funds, and like people want to speak and people want to support, and people are busy protecting me in the world, and I don't even know. I don't even know that these things are really happening. But that's what it looks like. And if you can do it for me, you can do it for every other Black person. And I need more people to do it for me, and I need more people to do it for Black people. And I don't just mean in Calgary, I mean Afro-Indigenous people, I mean people that you see on the street, I mean people around the world. South Sudan is in it again. Salva Kiir, you get out. Like, we can talk about a lot of things and get a lot of things accomplished. There are people who have money and influence. And listen, I ain't got three. Let me take that. Let me not start with I don't have $3. In the scope of the world, I do not have enough to affect change, but what I can affect, I am putting myself in front of it. They're attacking me. They're coming to take my picture. The private message is telling me I'm a Black supremacist. The page is dedicated to how I'm violent and dangerous. That makes my life harder. I'm willing to do so. So the people who have power, influence, money, listen, it's time to start doing so. It's time to start putting your money in organizations. There is not one Black focused, there's not one Black woman focused organization in Calgary that just focuses on Black women and what we need and how we can survive and thrive and make, there's not one. There's one of so many other kinds of things. There's 100 of so many other kinds of organizations. So, like, we can do this. We can get this done. If you love me, and if you love Black people, like, from your heart, not from consuming them, we can get this done. Give your money to organizations. Put your voice out there. That's how racism has continued, is that they use their money and their power and their influence to have people like me treated a certain kind of way. It's time to do it the other way, because that's the right side of history. That's the side of history that looks good. That's when it makes it easier to be a lady who lunches, if that's what you want to do. It makes it easier for you to be a soccer player. Like, if we're not only focused on consumption, what can we do with this world? This world is beautiful. We should be enjoying it. We should not be in a corner only producing. We need to enjoy and create. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with a party.
I just am so overwhelmed by how honest you are, and I appreciate it so much. And I think it's crazy that there isn't a single Black woman organization here in Calgary. On that note, I want to mention that we are recording on what would have been Breonna Taylor's 27th birthday, and I think we need to say her name because we're saying a lot of other people, but she's getting cast aside, and it's not right.
Breonna, nobody's talking about Breonna. People want to talk about how Breonna was a model minority because she was an EMT. She was active in her community, taking care of her family, hydrated, beautiful, impactful, wonderful human being. But that's not why she deserves to be alive. She deserves to be alive because she was alive, and she deserves to be alive. Her time was not up. She should not have been taken in such a violent, brutal, cruel way in her sleep. She didn't have one moment to think on her life, to look at the world that's around her, to connect with her partner that was trying to save her because they came into her home and shot her. They shut just for a don't knock. Oh, I can't remember what that. They don't have many of those, but they tried to get into her house. The police were like, "No, we get to do anything we want."
Yeah.
It's a problem. It's a problem. Brianna deserves to be alive. Nobody has been held accountable. No charges. No, nothing. Nothing. So basically, what they're saying is it's okay for us to go into Black people's homes and shoot them in their sleep. No, no, it's not. Um, it has never been. That's what they have done for a million different ridiculous reasons. Stop killing people. Stop killing people for their behavior. If you want to punish people for their behavior, we need a system that doesn't work only against them. But stop killing people because you see fit, because you're scared. If I see one more person, I never killed anybody because I was scared. I get that you violence is an awful, awful thing, but self-defense is not violence. A lot of people miss that.
Yeah.
Because I'm scared and want to defend myself from another human being standing in front of me doing absolutely nothing is not self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to really retell the story. We need to retell the story that Black people have been abused from the beginning of time by one type of people or another. And the impact that Black people have had on this world is indescribable. I like to say I'm the Alpha and the Omega. I'm the type of body, I'm the type of woman, I can make any kind of baby from my DNA. As I'm the beginning, I'm the end. If you want to be fighting over land and materials and money and all the rest of this, you would have nothing if you did not have life from a Black woman. People are trying to tell me that's not really how it is. It's indigenous people who were first, and I'm like, Black people are indigenous. So we got to change the narrative. We have a lot of work to do, and when I say we, I mean everybody. Everybody needs to
Mm-hmm.
do the work. Heal yourself, Craig. I it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. I know that you're emotional. I know
Yeah.
that you don't, now you did not ask me to do the work. I need you to ask your audience to ignore your tears and focus on my
Yeah.
message because a lot of people are
Yeah.
going to be upset and say I made you cry. So it's got to be.
I'm a baby. People, I'm a baby. I cry at the easiest thing. So, but focus on Adora.
And it's just like in your daily lives, like when I am busy being the manager and my coworkers are crying and I gotta be strong, I now look like that strong angry Black woman. No, I am not afforded tears. I'm not afforded emotion. I I'm only an angry Black woman or a mammy or whatever stereotype they want to give me, but I'm all those things and so much more. And I like there's I have so much to say. Sorry. No, not sorry. Not
No,
sorry.
don't. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, don't be sorry, which is great. And I like that you correct yourself because humans, we need to do that a bit more. Every single one of us, especially as Canadians, get really bad for saying that. But you have said so much, and I really can't thank you enough for coming on here because I'm hoping that there are some people who listen to this and haven't really given the opportunity to listen or looked into the stories. And it's I just wanted someone on who could really share what's going on and help explain it without mansplaining, I guess.
Thank you so much. Like all the stuff that's happening in the States is happening here. On a smaller level, because Calgary is a smaller city, but we still have redlining, we still have police brutality, we still have missing, murdered Indigenous women. That, like it's the same thing. It's just for different people. We still have Starlight tours. We have a gentleman who has faced police brutality in Calgary. We are going to be centering that. A lot of people are like, you're talking about the States. We have stories from Calgary that we're going to be telling. We want to talk about people and their lives. We don't want to only talk about people and their death. We don't want that to be the end. A lot of people, George Floyd's daughter said, my daddy's a hero. And a lot of people are taking that like, oh, George George didn't die in vain. George shouldn't have been dead. This little girl should not be grieving. She should not be asked to act like an adult and put her feelings aside. It's going to harm her at the end of her life. For the rest of her life, she's going to hear people's point of view on her dad and her dad's death. That is traumatic beyond measure. Her dad is a hero, but that shouldn't be the end of the story. He has a life. There's life that will go on connected to him after today, after his death. And we really need to honor his death and make sure that this stops happening, that little girls stop losing their dads, and then we tell them you don't have a dad. It must stop.
100%. So we got the Black Lives Matter vigil, 4 to 5:30 at Olympic Plaza in Calgary, Saturday. So tomorrow. But that's not the end, folks. Everybody needs to
bring PPE, bring your sanitizer. We're gonna try and social distance. That's very important. There are people that want to come and they feel like they're immune compromised, but they can't stay home. So we want to do as much social distancing as we can. If you feel like you're sick, we have online streaming. We're gonna stream it. We are working with other groups. Somebody reached out to me to see if they could live stream. I think that's the Sprawl. We're going to try and work with them. We're trying to create ways for people to get the information. We have an ASL translator that is coming because there are deaf people who I wish that we could get, assisted, seeing assisted guides, but because of COVID-19, we want to make you safe. We have security. Somebody said that there might be politicians coming. I don't know. I didn't talk to any of them. But I really want people to know that we want you to be safe. This is a nonviolent protest. It's a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
And we want to get the word out. We don't want to harm people, so again, PPE, bring your sanitizer, try and stand far away from people. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm so excited. We're gonna have some joy. There's gonna be pain. But this is, like you said, this is not the end. This is the beginning.
Yeah. So people, do whatever you need to do to make sure you're safe tomorrow, and then going forward, find resources. There's been a lot of great things being shared around, Black-owned businesses here in Calgary. Other cities are doing it as well. I know we have listeners throughout North America. So, find resources, seek them out. But Adora, I can't thank you enough for coming on today. I wish you all the best. I look forward to tomorrow. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Craig. I can't wait to see the playback. I appreciate you giving us a voice and a platform. Take care. Power to the people.
Power to the people. Thank you so much, Adora. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure to follow us at PTW Craig, and we will give lots of resources. Thank you so much, Adora. Thank you, guys.